You know what? I'm gonna swap sides. I'm gonna make you on the left. There you go. That's even better. Now I can try to make eye contact. Hi, everyone. See a little behind the scenes right there. Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. We are back. It is me and Blake once again stepping in. Carly still off sailing the frigid seas, but she'll hopefully be back with us next week. In the meanwhile, thank you, Blake, for stepping in again. Good to see you.
Of course, glad to be here.
So we've got kind of a brief show, slightly light news week this week, but we do have a few good stories to talk about. So we'll probably jump into it real quick, but first, gotta say hi to the folks who are in the chat early. Of course, Michael Bingham in there. He is excited. He's revving his engines. So I think I know which story he is excited to talk about today. Michael, welcome as always. Also, welcome to Blossom and Michelangelo in Dark Host Corner. Hello again. And Brian Sager, yes, we are seeing the extinction of a lot of Walt Disney World attractions coming up in the next few months, and I guess we got a date for Boneyard, September 1st. Get your last climb in on those net climbs and those bridges. So really, honestly,
breaking
it's
news within the past hour or so.
past hour. Yep.
Yeah.
Dinosaur, I believe, is still scheduled to hold on through the end of the holiday season, though.
Correct.
But yeah, getting there by New Year's, because it's not going to last long into the new year, I don't think. Boneyard, I think, is the only playground on Disney property now that we're losing Tom Sawyer Island. It's the only playground on Disney property, I think, that really competes with like the Camp Jurassic and Jurassic Park, or the Viking playground that they have now over in Burke and Epic Universe. Universal is really the place for kids' playgrounds.
And I see some breaking news.
Breaking news
right now. Test Track reopens July 22nd at Epcot.
Well, we have seen the barriers go down around there, and lots of cars cycling on the tracks. So if the official grand opening is going to be in July 22nd, that's real soon. So I would expect to see soft openings in the next few weeks then.
So I guess real exciting. Pairing that with the Magic Kingdom nighttime parade is July 20th.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, because they're going to want something to drag attention away from Magic Kingdom. They're always we already talked about how they are shutting off pass holders free access without a reservation to the Magic Kingdom, and that's another thing that you'll have to book your Epcot reservations, I guess. Though they haven't said anything about shutting off that after 2 access for pass holders. So, all right. Well, some breaking news that you heard it here first because you're watching the live stream. Will not actually be in the main show, but I'm sure we'll probably end up talking about it next week. Until then, why don't we go ahead and jump right into recording this episode in 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I am Seth.
And I'm Blake.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. And I have had a very quiet week at home, recovering from my California trip and working on my Disneyland book. So, Blake, I hope you had a more exciting week than I did.
I had a pretty fun week. I saw How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake, twice in movie theaters.
I am very curious to hear your Siskel and Ebert thumbs up or thumbs down. I've heard so much buzz about this. I personally am not a huge fan of remaking cartoons into live action, especially where I feel like the cartoon just came out. I'm old, so it feels like it was just last year that the original How to Train Your Dragon came out. So was this a worthy effort? You went to see it twice, so I guess that says something.
I really enjoyed it. I gotta say, so it's directed by Dean DeBlois, who is the same director as all 3 of the original animated films. And so the story goes, he kind of learned that, or he kind of said that, okay, if this is a for sure thing that's going to happen and it's going to be made regardless, that's Universal's decision, then I don't want it to be in the hands of anybody else, so I would like to direct it.
Right.
And I think so you see that it is handled with care. It's handled by somebody who has been with the story since the very beginning. The original came out in 2010, so it's about 15 years old now. But
okay, that does make wow. Time flies.
I liked it. It's filmed on location in Ireland, which I think makes a huge difference. So there's like minimal like green screen, that kind of stuff. It's real cliffs, it's real, hillside.
Because a lot of the time when we say this is a live action remake of an animated movie, what we're really saying is we're remaking it with photorealistic CGI, but it's just as animated as. But the fact that they actually went out of the way to film in real places with real people, that's a step up for me.
Right. The dragons are, of course, CGI. I guess they
couldn't find real
something like that.
They couldn't find real dragons. What? They're at Burke at Epic. I see them every day.
Exactly. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It is very close. It is faithful to the original in terms of like the dialogue. A lot of the script is identical.
No big plot twists that are going to shock fans.
No.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
It sounds like fun, and I will definitely put that on my to-see list for sure. All right, well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into the news in the queue. All right, it's not quite How to Train Your Dragon, but it is Universal news. It is the middle of June, which means we've got to be talking about Halloween Horror Nights, right? And we have a sighting of the Megan flash mob that was first seen in Halloween Horror Nights, became incredibly popular, went viral. They are back, not for Halloween Horror Nights, but to promote the release of Megan 2.0. Which is coming to a movie theater near you. And there's seen a lot of social media of people wanting to see the Megan Horde do their dance to a Britney Spears song in person. I also saw similar Megan characters out at City Walk in Hollywood. Did you get caught up in the Megan Horde craze? It was a thing for a while.
I haven't seen the Megans in person. It's been a while since I've been to Halloween Horror Nights, so I haven't seen them. But I did watch our video, and it kind of seems like this is like 2012 flash mob style. Yep. They just kind of materialize around the streets of Universal Studios Florida, and then kind of get into formation and do their thing.
Yeah. They're not listed on the Universal app. This is one of those surprise and delight things. We caught them for our videos at 10:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. The place to look for them is near the Horror Makeup Show. There's also a big poster for the new show. Serves as a photo op. No word if Megan or Blumhouse is going to be involved in the upcoming Halloween Horror Nights. So if you want to see them, get your chance now while they're out promoting the new film. But we did get some Halloween Horror Nights. We're not a full story in today's show, but we've got confirmation that Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th films is going to get his own house called Jason Universe. And that's joining the previously announced IPs of Five Nights at Freddy's, Fallout, and Oh my
That's it
gosh.
so far, I believe.
That's all we've got so far? Okay.
Five Nights at Freddy's isn't yet confirmed to
Right.
be a house or a stage.
No, we
We
just
don't
know
know
that
anything
it's
with that, but yeah.
participating somehow.
Yep.
And I also saw a leak online suggesting that Terrifier could be coming. So
Okay.
that could be the next announcement. Who knows? All right.
Yeah, those Megans are cool, and you can stick around after their dance routine if you want a photo with them. They do like a quick little meet and greet. So if you want your photo with the Megans, you can do that as well. You can I don't believe that's been an option in the past. So
Very cool. And if you want to see what it looks like, we've got a full video up on our YouTube channel. Check it out. Okay. Not quite a horror movie, but bad guys of a different kind. The Disney villains have a brand new show at Hollywood Studios. And Blake wrote up a kind of a hot take on this that I have not seen this show yet in person. I had kind of a bad experience trying to see the show.
oh no.
But the Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After is now running in Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's right next door to Rock and Roller Coaster, where the Lightning McQueen show used to be. They retrofitted the theater with lots of screens and better seats instead of those god-awful benches. But this one might be one that is best for the kids and not so much the Disney adults, according to Blake's article. I'm going to let you take it from there.
Yeah, so like Seth said, this is a new show just debuted at Hollywood Studios a couple weeks ago. It reminded me a lot of the former attraction that was called The Legend of Captain Jack Sparrow.
And for those in the know, for those who remember that is not one of Disney's most highly regarded attractions. A friend of mine, Jason Sorrell, I believe, worked on that, and there was some really innovative technology in there. But the tone of it, which I think you also have issues with the tone of this show more than anything else, right?
I think this is for a certain type of guest or a certain fan that I think this has an audience, right? And it certainly seemed like there were plenty of people who were in my crowd. I saw the show twice, 2 times. So I think if you love characters, you'll really enjoy this show. If you are somebody who just loves the villains and anything with the villains in it, and you just want to see the villains in anything, this is obviously a prime opportunity to see some of those in person, especially as we wait for the Villains Land to open at Magic Kingdom. However, if you're expecting anything a little bit more macabre or sinister, or maybe a little bit on the scary side, this is not really that show. There are only 3 live performers. There aren't any background vocalists, no background dancers. Everything else is based on screens. There are a lot of villains that show up on the screens, about 60 that we counted. So that's cool, getting to kind of point out, oh, I recognize, so-and-so, like Clayton from Tarzan or King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph. Some pretty deep cuts that you don't see a lot in parks. But at the same time, this isn't a grand production, like Beauty and the Beast across the street, or even Little Mermaid across the park that also just opened. So it's nice if you're a Villains fan, if you're expecting a large scale show or something that maybe leans into any sort of scary aspect of the villains. This is not really that show. It's a lot of crowd interaction. But ultimately, you're voting on which of the 3 villains, Maleficent, Cruella, or Captain Hook, are deserving of the title of most misunderstood Disney villain. So it's a lot of crowd interaction in the style of, that's why I compared it to the Jack Sparrow thing. A lot of call and response, a lot of almost, one would say, like if there was a Disney villains episode of like Dora the Explorer or something like that. It's not quite that extreme, but it does get kind of close.
This really reminds me very strongly of an early Disney Cruise Line show that they had that was like an award ceremony with villains.
Okay.
The one positive thing I will say is that they've got 3 live actors, and it doesn't look like they've skimped on the costumes or the casting.
No, the costumes
3 really good live
incredible.
performers. But they've also got these weird live action version of some of the cartoon characters who were just on screens. So it's a weird mix of artistic styles, kind of, and presentational styles. That I'm not sure the kids who are the target audience will care that it's a weird mix of aesthetics, but okay. My issue with this show is that I went to see it, and it was a day that it was pouring rain, so it was not the greatest day to wait in a completely unsheltered queue. And there was no organization whatsoever. They just sort of have a holding pen set up, but there's no actual switchbacks or lines. And there was a schedule of when the show was supposed to start, which had nothing to do with when the show actually started. And we just stood outside in the pouring rain for a long period of time, assuming because we were inside the corral that we would be getting into the next show, that's what being in that corral meant. But when it came time to open the doors, there was only room for about 3/4 of the people who had been, corralled off to actually get in, and people just pushed and shoved their way from the back right through in front of us, and they just closed the doors in our faces with not a word. It was a very un-Disney moment. It was unmagical, and I have not been able to see the show since then. So
That's unfortunate.
I'll reserve judgment until I see it myself, but I trust your take, and if you want to read Blake's take here, it is on our website, attractionsmagazine.com, and we've also got some video, I believe, up on the YouTube. So see it for yourself and let us know what you think. All right, now we're going to go from a hot take maybe to an even hotter one. Maybe the most controversial change to the Magic Kingdom in my memory is coming down the pike. And we have new information from Disney's Imagineers about how they plan thematically, aesthetically, to handle this dramatic change that is coming to Frontierland, wiping out the rivers of America. And it turns out they have 3 key focuses for this makeover. This is another article that Blake wrote. So I am going to let Blake expand on what the Imagineers mean by chasing your dreams, writing your own folktale, and setting isn't story, because I'm really curious.
Yeah, so I think we can go a lot of different directions here. I think I'll stick to less about opinionated statements or like my personal take on this.
Okay, you can save it for me. I'll do those.
Okay, I'll just share what Disney shared with us, the context that they provided with us, and because I feel like that's kind of what's been missing from the conversation so far, holistically across the parks community. So this was in the same conversation where the Imagineers shared with us the closing date for Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island, which, as we've spoken of in previous weeks, is going to be July 6th is your last day for those. As of July 7th, they'll be closed permanently to make way for the Cars attractions. Kind of what they placed it into context for us with, though, was how this fits into a larger makeover project for Frontierland as a whole, which has been very much ongoing for several years now, with the opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, with the introduction of the updated Country Bear Jamboree. Big Thunder Mountain is currently closed for all of 2025. That's getting a huge upgrade or changes that are kind of still details we don't know too much about, but that'll be opening up sometime in 2026. And then we have this huge Cars project taking over Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island. Within all of that, I think you could look at it as haphazard choices being made and one individual attraction coming and going at a time. What they kind of iterated to us was that there is a strategy behind this. There are concrete pillars or points of language, of verbiage that they've defined for their new vision, essentially for Frontierland. They compared it to the same way that anything added to Animal Kingdom has a very strict set of guidelines with it that I believe was enacted by former Imagineer Joe Rohde. They compared this to that in terms of there are a set of parameters for Animal Kingdom attractions that they try to adhere to. In the same vein, there is a set of parameters that they are wanting to adhere to for this Frontierland project. And as Seth said, those are chasing your own dreams, that is writing your own folktale. And within that, a big part of it is that the setting is not the story. Yes,
Interesting.
this is set in a specific place, a specific time, or across a continuity of time, I guess, within the Frontierland attractions, but that can't be just. There has to be some narrative within that, I guess, is what they're essentially saying.
It's very interesting that you bring up the concept of time, and I'm sure that they're right now being very vague about it. But traditionally, Frontierland was a look backwards at the Old West period from the late 1700s through the late 1800s, right? This, it seems, if we've got cars out there, I don't know if these are like the great grandfather of Lightning McQueen, but at least we've brought this into the 20th century. At least we've already brought Frontierland into 20th century with Tiana's, which takes place in the 1920s. Big Thunder Mountain, I think, is still themed to the 1800s gold rush, maybe, but maybe not anymore. So the idea that Frontierland isn't necessarily about the Old West, but just about the West or the frontier, and expanding that chronology, I think that's a really interesting change, because for Walt Disney, it was very much about, we're looking back at the past. When he built a Frontierland there, it was about looking back at America's past. And I don't think that maybe people are as interested in looking back at America's past.
And I think, we got a lot of comments on our Facebook post about this, about people remarking, a general, I guess, talking point to push back at this expansion or makeover, whatever you want to call the project, is that, it's just more IPs, it's more intellectual property in Magic Kingdom. But I think what's easy to forget is that Frontierland has always been IP centric, and that the original IP that kind of was the foundation of the original Frontierland, Davy Crockett, that was Disney's superstar.
That was
IP.
like, if you want to talk about marketing and basically shoehorning a TV show into a theme park, that was Davy Crockett was
Disney's
the
first
pioneer of that
platform film theme park synergy. Was Davy Crockett, in the same way that today was like, you would look at like the popularity of superhero films, like that was the level of Davy Crockett.
Absolutely.
Mania.
And even the rest of it
with them,
Tom Sawyer, that was not and that was definitely an intellectual property that Walt Disney did not create himself. And even the original Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland at Disneyland, that was inspired by the short films, the nature documentaries that Disney was very, very popular for back in the day. So it's all Frontierland has always been tied to IP.
So I get the sentiment, and I understand if people are upset and resistant to the changes. I think the basis of the conversation being, it's just more IPs, is a little bit misguided, because the net gain of IPs before and after this makeover is zero. It's older IPs making way for newer IPs, and that can be a conversation, but it's certainly not getting rid of anything that was necessarily originated by Imagineers for the park.
So here's my hot take on it, which is that my original objection to this whole project was not so much about IPs, but about the aesthetics and the vibe of having water in a theme park. And I think that people underestimate, I think bean counters look at how much money are we making per square foot, and no one is standing in the river, no one is buying anything in the river, so the river is wasted square footage. But I think that any body of water, but especially like a river, creates a whole sense in a theme park that you are in a real place, as opposed to just a manufactured space. And also it creates an atmosphere of relaxation that concrete and even trees alone can't do. I think like human beings need to see water to feel relaxed. It's like in our DNA. Like when we see an oasis, when we see a watering hole, like, that's like a signal to our reptile brain that things are okay. And when we can't see any water, we tend to get agitated. So getting rid of all the water was a big problem for me. But then they put out this new piece of artwork, this fun map of Piston Peak, and it clearly shows the whole riverfront from where Tiana's empties out all the way through past the Country Bears and all the way down to where the river dock is now. That whole river pretty much still exists. Maybe it's narrower. It's hard to tell the scale of this.
Right.
But the fact that it's still going to be a waterfront really made my heart feel better about this whole project. That's a big deal for me.
Definitely.
So I was kind of up in arms. I'm not ready to carry protest signs or anything, but I was kind of agitated about this whole plan until I saw the newest version and how much water they're retaining. So that makes me feel good, or at least a little better.
Definitely. And someone did ask, there was a Q&A section of that call with Imagineers where someone did ask, what is the width of that? It looks like it might be the same. It might be, as you said, a little bit narrower. What is that? They essentially said that they're still kind of determining that. So I guess TBD on that, or at least on them sharing publicly what the extent of that looks like. But yeah, I mean, it's very clearly still there, or at least that side of it. So.
All right. And finally, for our last story in the news in the queue, we are heading away from Universal and Disney, instead going to Dollywood, which is commemorating its 40th anniversary. And if you want to trace the journey of this Tennessee theme park from a little local roadside attraction all the way to a global destination, then you want to hop on over to the Dollywood Parks and Resorts YouTube channel. They have premiered a video entitled The Dollywood Dream, which is a documentary featuring Dolly herself, as well as her partners, the Hershens, former park presidents, and all sorts of people sharing stories about the park. This is a park that's on my bucket list that I still have never made it to. So
that surprises me.
I know. One of these days, but I'm excited to maybe sit down and learn a little bit more about the history of this park. And we've got a timeline here of attractions that they've added over the years, awards and accolades they've won, as well as a look forward to what is coming next. Is this one you've visited personally?
I haven't. It is, there's no excuse. It's 4 hours for me.
Come on, road trip.
I know.
Call them up. Tell them who you are.
But this is a fun
Dolly
to learn more about it. This is a completely free documentary. It's a good, it's 40-45 minutes, I believe. So it's not just like a quick little promotional video. This is, you could sit down and watch this as a family for a fun little movie night if you wanted to. So it's nice to see a park that is a little bit smaller than Disney or Universal get a fun documentary like this.
And they might not be as big as Disney and Universal, but they have a long list of awards, especially for their live entertainment, and they do really well themed family roller coasters. So it definitely, like I said, it's on my bucket list. All right, that is going to wrap up our news in the queue. But before we jump into our main attraction, let's hear from our sponsor.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
And while we're at it, hey, have you heard about the new Epic Universe magazine from Attractions Magazine?
Our Epic Universe magazine is the ultimate grand opening souvenir for Orlando's newest theme park. It's got 64 pages of photos, vacation planning advice, and behind-the-scenes secrets from all 5 portals: Super Nintendo World, Dark Universe, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Celestial Park. It's not every day a new theme park opens in Orlando, so mark the moment and celebrate history with the Attractions Magazine Epic Universe Grand Opening issue, now available at attractionsmagazine.com.
It's time for the main attraction!
All right, well, I just had to slip that plug for our Epic Universe magazine in there. I just got my copy in the mail the other day. And it's so
Nice.
nice having glossy, thick pages, like a
Yeah.
real, like it's not cheap. It feels like a real old-fashioned magazine when magazines were magazines back in the day.
Yeah, I like the little, it has like a little
Yeah.
spine too, so you can put it on your shelf with
Yeah.
like, it feels like almost like a paperback book. So yeah,
And
really
and
proud.
who knows, maybe it will be so hugely popular that we will also do a special edition magazine for the next big Universal opening, and that is coming in 2026 to Universal Studios Hollywood, the Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift roller coaster. And we have gotten our first look at updated concept art of the queue building, as well as our first look at the ride vehicles, which are fashioned after the muscle cars seen in the movies, including Dom's Charger. I saw Brian's car there. They look absolutely fantastic. It looks like each car is going to be a little bit different. And it really, this is the Fast and the Furious ride, I think, that fans of the series have wanted ever since Universal first tried to pawn us off with a simulator. And we said, no, we need cars that actually go fast. And now we're finally getting it. Are you excited to see this one?
I am. This is huge, especially for this park. They don't have an outdoor coaster like this.
Yeah.
They're one outdoor coaster to their name is Flight of the Hippogriff. So this
yes.
is a huge upgrade. They do have Mummy, but that's indoors. So in terms of an outdoor coaster like this, the park doesn't have that, period. So this is breaking new ground for them. And the big concern has always been there are residential communities very nearby. There is active live film production in the park on their backlot. So screams, obviously, of riders has been a big concern for why they haven't had a coaster like this before. But yeah, they're going for it, and I guess we'll see what happens with whatever technology they've come up to kind of mitigate that issue.
Well, speaking of screaming, there's definitely going to be some screams because this roller coaster hits 72 miles an hour. That is the fastest roller coaster, not just at Universal Hollywood, or it is the fastest roller coaster at any Universal theme park anywhere in the world. Now, we'll have to see if that holds up in a few years when Universal Great Britain opens. But for a while, Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift is going to hold the crown of Universal roller coasters. To mitigate the screams, though, a really interesting thing that they've done, as you can see in this concept art, the track starts up top right across from Springfield, the Simpsons area, and then loops down and around over the Skyway, or the Starway. That's the giant escalator that leads down to the lower lot, goes down the hillside and back up again. And they've got these big shields, these big kind of glass shields that look similar to the canopy over the escalator. And because the coasters can rotate 360 degrees, the cars can spin. They spin you to face into the wall, so your screams bounce off of that instead of going out to the residential area nearby. And I think that is just a brilliant solution of both theme and aesthetics. So you'll be drifting around these corners, so it matches the Fast and Furious theme, but you're also screaming into a wall, so you're not bothering the wealthy neighbors down at the bottom of the hill. I think it's genius.
Yeah, and like you said, like 72 miles per hour. You say that, and you're like, "Wow, that's fast." But I don't think it really settled in for me how fast this is until you realize, like, oh, okay, that's faster than Velocicoaster. That's faster than Stardust Racers. Like all of these coasters that guests have thrown out claims of, like, oh, this is the best coaster Universal has ever done. This is the most thrilling coaster Universal has ever done. Both of those rides kind of have that reputation, and to say this is faster than both of them is a very big deal.
And I'll go on a limb and say this absolutely has the potential to be talked about in the same sentence as Velocicoaster and Stardust Racers as one of the top coasters in the country. When you combine the launches, a decent length of track, I think they're quoting 4,100 feet. So not quite as long as like a Hagrid's, but still long for a coaster. You combine that with the 360-degree spinning. This is like cosmic rewind that goes upside down. And depending on how much theming, if we get any little dark ride show scene, around the launch, that could really put it over the top as being, a top 5 coaster easily. So
And there's
I'm really excited.
plenty of media for them to reuse, I would imagine, if they wanted to from the
Oh, yeah.
previous ride.
Yeah. And, if anything that they want to recycle, as long as it is not Dom Toretto hanging from a drone that looks like a baby helicopter. I don't ever need to see that part again. So yeah, this is all this warm up to the ride, which isn't opening until some point in 2026, is all part of the Universal Mega Movie Summer event that they're holding. They've got some holdovers from the Fan Fest nights that they did. They've got a lot of little activations, and you'll be able to check out the vehicle parked out in front of Universal Plaza and get selfies in it, months before be able to ride. I have heard that they want to get soft openings maybe by the end of this year, that the official opening of this, they want it earlier in 2026. So they got trains on the track. I don't think we've seen a full circuit test, or at least I haven't seen yet. But I think we're not far away from seeing regular testing of this. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, this is cool. So obviously we have the ride vehicle, and I think it's also cool that the ride vehicle reveal wasn't just like a little ceremony for press invitees. Like it's there now in the park, any guest can go up and see it in person, and as Seth said, even sit in it and take a photo op if you would like to.
Yep. Yeah, definitely getting the hype going. And I'm not saying the two things are related necessarily, but we've seen a lot of construction going on as Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket is still operating. They've put up walls around it. They've started clearing land around it. We know that Intamin, who built Fast and Furious, is building whatever project is going to be replacing Rip Ride Rocket, which is closing even earlier than we thought. So we might see I'm not saying another Fast and the Furious coaster, but at least a cousin of this type of attraction coming even sooner than we thought to Universal Studios Florida. It looks like they're really working to make that happen as soon as possible.
Yeah, Rip Ride Rocket, as we discussed before, closes August 18th. The last day to ride, I believe, is August 17th. So that's coming up very, very soon, 2 months away.
All I can think is that management must be very happy with what they're seeing from Intamin to be able to to be pushing this project with Rip Ride Rocket forward with such speed. So that's good news. All right. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of this week's show. But before we wrap it up, let's take a look back. For those of you who are in the comments, Cindy Bingham, so nice to see you. Checking in. Also, Carmine C. Dinosaur, welcome. Michael Bingham points out, though we might have some gripes about the Villains show, it is good to see live entertainment, see the animation courtyard back to life with the Little Mermaid show. So we do applaud Hollywood Studios for that.
Definitely.
For sure.
Little Mermaid show is great. No qualms about that.
Michael McKay wants to know about Snoopy's legendary rooftop concert. Is that something that's going on at Cedar Fair Park? Is that a Knott's Berry thing? I
would imagine so, but I don't know any details.
Either that or Universal Japan. I don't know that one, but I'll look into that for you because I love Snoopy, and I did enjoy seeing him at Universal Japan when I was out there. And finally, yes, Michael, you definitely do need to go out and get a copy of the magazine. Okay. And we'll let Michael end by congratulating you on that narration on that commercial. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to about wrap it up. Before we go, I want to thank again our sponsors, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Want to remind everyone to please give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you happen to listen to us, and give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube. Plus, be sure to follow us at attractionsmagazine.com and search for Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media platform. Blake, remind everyone where they can find our social media accounts.
Yeah, so on X, we are Attractions. I believe everywhere else, we're Attractions Magazine. And of course, you can find us on our website, attractionsmagazine.com, where we have some really, really exciting stuff coming up soon. Last week, our publisher, Matt, and myself had the incredible honor and great thrill to interview Terry Koo, who is a former Universal executive. Just had an amazing conversation with him. So that piece will be coming hopefully very soon. I'm still kind of processing everything he talked through with us, but that was a very special conversation. We're excited to bring that to our readers.
Terry is fantastic. I had a very memorable event where he talked about Fast and the Furious a few years ago.
He talked about that with us too. He specifically mentioned that panel. Yeah,
and got to run into him again at the Epic Universe grand opening. It's great to see.
Nice.
He's working on a virtual Kiss concert, I believe. Last I heard, that was one of his projects.
Yeah, he has his own company now with his wife that he talked with us about. So all that
they're both great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can find me at Eskabursky or at The Unofficial Guides, and find copies of my books at theunofficialguides.com. And until next week, we hope you stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. We will see you again next time. Bye.